Welcome to this, the first in a series of speed demos we're going to be running over the next number of weeks. These sessions are designed for those of us who don't like to sit through very long demos, or recorded or live, and who would like to get some learnings, whether it's strategic or product-wise, from our webinars. So we're going to keep it to 15 minutes or less today. That's the idea. We're covering 360-degree customer views today, also known as the single source of customer truth, or the helicopter view of customers, or the single pane of glass customer view. Too many names, but whatever you call it, we'll be looking at the reasons for attempting to achieve this, what sort of data we can use, what sort of tools you might have at your disposal to help achieve that, and what the end results might look like. So yeah, that's the objective today. So let's just get to it. Over the last number of years, I've listened to probably thousands of customer success professionals, and often talking about the 360 customer view. And there are kind of two universal reasons why people want it, or want to have it or achieve it. And at a CSM level, it tends to be, or it's going to be generally about saving time, because it takes time to prepare for calls. You might have to maybe go request some data from your IT department in advance of the call, and by the time you get it, it could be out of date. You've got to access multiple applications and perform searches in those, looking for data on a particular customer, and then identify issues from that data, or positive or negative. And then after doing all that work, you might realize that the customer is actually fine and there was no need for the call, never mind all that work and research. So really what you're looking for to achieve is to have some form of technology that's going to help you centralize that data and identify the need for the call in the first place, and then remove the need for it so much, or certainly massively reduce the amount of prep time. So that's why a CSM tends to want the 360 view. At an executive level, it's generally about resource savings, so doing more with less. Having fewer CSMs covering a greater number of accounts, and delivering better outcomes, of course, to the customers, but also for your own business. Now, so what is this data? What data sources are we talking about that we can use to kind of generate that 360 view? There's quite a number listed on screen. I think it's 13, and that speaks to the challenge that you would have without tools to help you do this. To actually generate this sort of 360 view. I mean, all of those individual sources of data are very helpful in isolation, but if you combine them together, obviously they're going to fuel insights that are going to help maximize whatever your North Star metric might be, whether that's NRR, customer lifetime value, or whatever your bespoke North Star metric is that you run your business by. So there's a lot of data. How do we get that into one place? Well, there's a few options. You can see a number, I think 6 of them on screen there. And for the uninitiated, I should say, certainly for the non-technical, it can look a little intimidating, but it tends to not be as intimidating as it is certainly with the right sort of intuitive tools. It's generally pretty straightforward. So you generally would only need help from your IT department with the developer tools elements, so the HTML, tracking, and API connections. But the rest of it, connecting with it might not seem it, but even connecting with third-party applications, it's actually relatively straightforward, and we can actually look at that in a little bit. Okay, so that's all I wanted to touch on from a high-level point of view before we go and have a look at some more information or some live examples. So I'm going to use our platform, Akita, to demonstrate how you can construct and benefit from a 360 view. So let's go and do that now. So before we actually jump into the platform, just to touch on, what those means of getting data into Akita might look like. I'm not going to get into the weeds on it because, in this respect, certainly what you're looking at on screen right now, I'm not technical, but at a high level, you can use HTML snippets or JavaScript to pass user data or login data, for example, into your platform, from there into Akita, right? So these little snippets here you're looking at in the black box, your IT department or someone from there can cut and paste, in effect, that into your platform, and it'll start to pass data on a regular basis into our platform, telling you something about how your customer is engaging with your platform. So very useful. The other thing you can do is we have a REST API. So again, this is something that someone in your department can use to set up connections between data sources where you have a lot of customer attributes, application database, for example, and just set that up so that it can regularly pass those data points through to Akita or whatever platform you're using. Okay, so that's that. All right, that is the technical bit that you probably would have to talk to someone in IT about getting some help to get that data in. But apart from that, everything else is pretty straightforward. And the probably most technical one that you'll even have to think about is connecting so say you want to connect your CRM or your billing platform or voice of customer tools to a CS platform. Again, that's pretty easy. I'm just going to move me out of the way here. So, for example, with Akita, we've 80 plus different pre-built integrations. So our developers went ahead and built those integrations for you, so you don't have to get your IT department to do that for you. So you can, as a regular business user, you can actually set these up or can make these connections. So if you want to say you're using, let's just go with HubSpot. So I'll come down here. We see there's a HubSpot logo. If you're using HubSpot as a CRM, for example, you can click in here and make that connection, right? So if you connect to HubSpot, it'll bring you to the HubSpot website. You put in your credentials, and then you would, there's some steps where you decide what kind of data you want to come through. And that's that, really. There's no massive need to be technical. It's cool point and click stuff, and you decide what you want to see in our platform. Okay. So once you've done all of that, and the data is now set up and flowing into your centralized platform, in this case Akita, what do you do next? Or how does that all render? What does it look like, and how does it benefit you? So first of all, I'm going to jump into an account view. We're not going to get into the weeds here. I'm not going to jump certainly into any features of Akita that aren't relevant for today, because we're kind of trying to keep the time frame down. So I'm going to jump first into an account view, just to show you what that looks like when it's all the data is sort of centralized against one of your customers. And then we'll jump into maybe a segment to show you how that again is reflected at a segment level. And even if we're not too far along time wise, I'll jump in and show you a quick view of what a dashboard can look like. That can be again another more visual, centralized sort of 360 view. Okay, right. What I have here is the account area of Akita, where you create your segments, etc., or all your customer lists. You'll see a bunch of different lists down here. But what I'm going to do is jump in. I'll just minimize that. I'm going to jump into this account here, Anderson Little, right? So I'll just show you what kind of data you can expect to see in a 360 view. Now, the first thing to note is that a 360 view doesn't mean you have every single data point you have potential to see in one place. It's in the account record, but you don't want it front and center. You want to surface the key metrics, the key pieces of data that are going to help you achieve what you need to achieve with your work. So those in Akita, certainly the details tab and the analytics tab would retain a lot of those, a lot of the field data that's being passed into Akita. And from there, you can then pin that into things like your dashboard. And your dashboard is going to be the surfaced key metrics and key information. So you can see here, I've pinned some, health score, so I can always come in and see through time how my customers are getting on from a health perspective, or how, login rates. So are they logging in often, this customer, and how that's changing. If I hover on these dots, it tells me the numbers, etc. Right. Of course, and then across all of these tabs, we've got lots and lots of data. So as I mentioned, actually, just to say, on the right-hand column, of course, there's a lot of standard sort of contract data and renewal dates, revenue data, etc. And you can also capture, there's NPS, there's a intuition score that you can pass into the application as well. So yeah, lots of options for capturing and viewing data here too. But if we look at the details tab, you'll see, and this is really where all the data is being passed in, you'll see here on the left all the sources of data. So we've got a bunch of apps that we've connected to Akita here. If I click in there, you'll see all the field data coming from those. This is I'm currently looking at the API and tracking code, the data coming in via that channel. So you can see here I've got a bunch of fields that are constantly being updated. I've highlighted some key ones maybe, and I can just show the starred ones. That then allows me also to pin fields into a dashboard. So I don't want to come into the details tab and see the 500 fields from being passed into Akita from multiple sources. I want to just pick a few of these that are going to be necessary, fields that I need to see, as I'm doing my work on a day-to-day basis. So maybe tickets created, I'll pin that into my overview here, and maybe what plan the customer's on. I need to maybe see that at all times. So I'm going to pin that in there. I'm going to click save, and I've jumped back into my dashboard, and I'll see these fields are here, and I can move them around and see exactly. So see, exactly what I need to see and when I need to see it. Same with the widgets, or sorry, with the metrics. You'll find those in the analytics tab, and you can just pin those in here as well and resize them and kind of customize this view as you need it. So that's how we centralize all the data that you need into one place. You then have access to lots of other information coming in from, like, for example, regarding your individual users. So I can see, this is some dummy data, of course, but I've got a couple of users within this account, and I can add column data in here to make sure I see what I need to see with these people. Okay, now also you'll have all your activities, past, current, future activities, and notes, playbooks. So you have automated playbooks within Akita. Nothing live you can see here, but I can manually trigger playbooks as well. I maybe throw this customer, add this customer into the enterprise playbook. I could trigger that. These can be triggered automatically as well. You have your history tab. Now this is really important from a 360 view. And here you can see all the records that are being passed into Akita from all the different applications that you have connected. So we can see there's some Salesforce, data records, Stripe, Zendesk, you name it, Harvest, Intercom, all these different types of records are being passed in. All the fields, all the data from those records can be used in Akita to create segments and trigger notifications and playbooks and build health scores. But also from a 360 point of view, you can come in and click into these individual records and see, some information about them. This is maybe an invoice or something. So invoices, tickets, here's a Zendesk ticket. If I click into it, I'll see more data relating to that ticket, etc. Okay, you'll also see your conversations via chat and email back and forth in this tab. Files here, so you can add any sort of files you need to access quickly. It'll be available in here. And that's it. That's the kind of 360 view that an account view we would hope should have, and that you can have within Akita. I don't think we've got a huge amount of time left, but let's look at segments. So segments also are a 360 view of customers. So you can come in and create different types of 360 views. So I want to see a view maybe of all my, onboarding accounts. So I can come in here and use filters to just identify, which customers started in the last month, and I can add column data very easily as well. So I get a good sense of who's in here, which customers are in which segment, and which customers have certain profiles or certain behaviors that I want to keep on top of. And I can automate activity and notifications based on people entering and leaving these segments. Okay, the last thing I guess is dashboard. So a dashboard is, of course, gives you the ability to create 360 views. So you can pin whatever data you need into a dashboard, whether it's lists of customers in certain segments or life cycle stages, whether it's metrics relating to customers that you want to track, or tasks, task lists, overdue tasks, etc. Listen, these can give you a good sort of 360 view of your business, your set of accounts, etc. Right, I think I've gone through everything I wanted to from a 360 view point of view. A lot to cover in 15 minutes, and I'll have to check whether I even got close, but hopefully I did. If you liked what you saw from a product point of view, from our point of view, certainly my contact details are there at the bottom. If you'd rather not talk to me, that's fine. Certainly go to our website if you want, and you can request a demo, request a free trial. We'd love to hear from you. So yeah, thanks so much for viewing or attending and or viewing this this webinar, and I hope we achieved what we set out to, which is keep it short and to the point. Okay,